everyone, and welcome to the Surviving UX podcast. We are back. Did you, though, show up to work today and find yourself with a new boss? I cannot even count how many times that's happened to me. With me is my co host, Jessamine Edwards. Jessamine, I hope that you didn't show up to work today and have that happen to you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I do have a new boss,
What?
but yeah, but it's
I
okay. It's
didn't I
okay.
didn't even know that when I read this.
It's a boss I've had before, and so we just
Uh-huh.
kind of circled back to each other, so it was all good.
Huh?
It's all
Oh,
good. Yeah, but
that's good.
I mean, right now I'm like, I think in the past that might have shaken me up a little bit, but right now I'm just like, okay, all right, well, you know, I am sad. I did really like my old boss, and I am sad not to have the built-in opportunity to talk to her as much, but um, she's still around. I can still go knock on her door.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll
Well,
see what happens next. I'm sure this arrangement won't be forever. I'm sure something will change soon.
of course, it always does. I was reminded of this week, and it shook me a little, to be honest. Like I was talking to some people, and some memories were being brought up, and then, like somewhat coincidentally, I think I saw some posts about like what this particular manager person was doing these days on the LinkedIn, on the old LinkedIn,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, oh, I was really affected by that day when I just showed up and was told I was getting a new boss, because like all of a sudden all of these feelings came back about just
Ooh.
like how rough that was, and
Oh
just like
no,
oof.
it wasn't a good situation.
No, 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 no. And
Mm.
like I said, I've had so many of these that like some I'm sure were fine, or some were even positive probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one
Yeah, I mean, if it
I
was
had
like a
buried.
new boss that was like, "Who are you?" And I've definitely had that happen where it's like, "Oh, who are you?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Uh-oh, I went from like teacher's pet to like redheaded
Like,
stepchild." Yeah.
or even just like not even yeah, like who, like it's even worse to not be anything to the person, like you have to start all over again. Ugh.
Oof.
Well,
Yeah, starting
yeah.
over, starting fresh, got to
if
prove
anybody
yourself.
if anybody's experiencing that today or any day, and we'll talk a little bit about reorgs too a little later this episode. Today's episode is just going to be a couple of hot topics that we've wanted to chat about, and also happy Mother's Day to you, Jessamine.
Happy Mother's
Our
Day,
Mother's Day
Meg.
episode. How are you doing, as a mama of three?
Pretty good. It is wild to look around the table at these little faces and realize there's more of them than there are of us. Like
Oh
me and my
yeah,
husband, we're outnumbered.
sure.
And I'm like, where did these kids come from? I just I don't know, but yeah, everybody's happy, healthy, everybody's doing pretty good. So we did attempt some home haircuts recently, which went awry,
Oh no.
and they were corrected with a trip to the barber shop yesterday. So that's good. So we don't look quite so wild.
Well, I
Yeah.
like that you attempted. I like that you attempted it.
I'm not crazy about those attempts. But yeah, it was a lesson learned. Just leave it to the pros.
Hmm.
How about you? How are things going?
Things are going good. I wanted to report back about my trip to Universal Studios, and
Oh,
I guess I was
yes.
just like wondering, Jessamine, do you feel like you turn off and on your UX brain, or like do you kind of go around the world and like kind of be like, oh, this should be better and that should be better, or
Absolutely.
or like
No, I
yeah.
absolutely can't help but critique everything.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like, and this would never happen to us, like when that old like thing where it's like somebody's on a plane and they're sick or they have a heart attack or whatever, and then the stewardesses, I can't believe I just used the word stewardesses, sorry,
Is that a bad word?
flight attendants are like, anybody's a doctor on the plane, and like, the doctor's not practicing at that particular moment, but it's always a doctor.
It's a doctor of
um
literature.
yeah, so like, I feel like doing this type of work, like you go through the world and you see things and you are kind of analyzing them from that perspective. But my review of, so this was the lead into my review of Super Nintendo World, which is that it was aesthetically very pleasing. I will have to say. They got like everything really right in terms of the look and feel. And I think one thing that impressed me the
Hmm.
most was like the textures of these physical objects, like
Okay.
really reminded me of the games um and like the way the light hit like a mushroom or a
Oh.
in the Mario Kart game, they had all of the are they plaques? I'm not sure, but like at the things the different courses that you choose, the different circuits that you choose, like they just like shined the right way. So and
Hmm.
like the walls of Bowser's castle, I thought like the texture was really cool. So I think they
Were you
did a
taking
really good
mushrooms at the
job on
time that
that.
you did this visit? I would just imagine you like rubbing the walls and like looking at the lights.
It was cool. It was cool. It was really cool. No, I was actually looking at the walls and I was like, this is kind of the hair color I wish I could experiment with because it was
Ooh.
like green and blue.
Okay.
Um, but I kind of wish I was maybe on mushrooms or something, an aid of that particular variety, because it was an absolute madhouse on a Monday. There was no way that place was designed for that many people. And it
Whoa.
just got me really thinking about like, what do you do? Like it's very small and
Overloaded. Yeah.
you don't want to be like limiting people coming in because that's a huge like moneymaker for you right now. You can't
Mm.
just be like, let's sell a bunch of tickets to Universal and then just not let you into like the most like interesting part of the park right now. But it was packed. At one point,
Wow.
I walked into the bathroom, the single bathroom that's in the Mario Land, and just to wash my hands. So I walked by all the women waiting for the restroom. There was no joke, no less than 50 people in that line to go to the bathroom.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know
That was
what?
to the bathroom.
This is a call to America that we need to rethink public restrooms for women. Like we need to rethink the group bathroom. Have you ever seen a Roman bathroom, like the Roman ruins,
Mm-mm.
where there's no stalls? It's just a bunch of seats, like it's like a bench and then
Yeah.
holes. And
Just when I couldn't
it's
do that.
communal.
I'm
I
not on
mean,
board.
I don't know.
I would
I
have to
feel like
completely rethink my
I
public
think
going out
we could get
strategy.
there as a culture. I think we could because imagine the time saved. I don't know. And people wouldn't sit there on their phone. You know, they'd get in there and get it done and get out of there. They'd be a lot faster if they had to do it in front of other people.
That's kind of true. Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Maybe
think that
there's
would be true.
another solution out there, but I do think that this is a problem that needs to be solved
Yeah.
somehow.
They
Somehow.
did have, and then they did, so they had like a restroom, obviously, and a women's restroom. And then they had, and most, there's like family restrooms and like gender neutral bathrooms these days. And like, that's pretty common, I think, in places that are like brand new. But they
Yeah,
had
thank
only
goodness. Oh
one of
no.
those.
One, like there's one family at Universal that day.
Yep, yep, just one.
What a joke.
So, yeah, so I have lots of other thoughts on the park. Anything you really want to know about specific like anything that you were curious to know about from my adventures?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I love like special accommodations, like you talk about the family bathrooms or
Oh, well, I have
things
some
like
sad
that.
things to report on that.
Oh,
Like
but yeah.
they the one ride that you stand in line for a really long time for, like this made the news that like they're not accessible for larger people. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and like that's like such a such a shit oversight.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
I think like I also noticed something else, and this kind of made me think, and I don't know if this is too much of a reach, but like I was in the merch store and I was shopping for a friend of mine whose birthday was coming up and really likes Nintendo. And she is smaller than me. And I could barely find like a shirt that like I could wear a large baggy shirt, but like the shirts were not even like there wasn't options for smaller women for shirts.
Ah. Yeah.
And so I didn't buy anything because I'm like, this would look like bad. Anyway,
Mm.
so what made this made me think was like everything looked really good and it uh, and like the ride was cool and that kind of stuff. But it felt like a lot of things were just ported over from the Japan Universal, where there's been a Super Mario or Super
Mm.
Nintendo Land there for a while. And like
Okay.
it kind of makes me wonder, like, did like typically there's smaller people in different countries, and like so what did they think? They were like, we'll just change the merch, we'll just be like, oh, it's America, we'll
Bigger
just up
shirts.
we'll just up the merch huge, but then we don't change the
The
chairs. It was
seats.
like, or the
Mm-hmm.
seats. It's just like it felt really odd, like what decisions were made, and like it didn't seem
Yeah.
consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, I jumped in there before you actually asked the question. But yeah,
Mm.
that was something that made the news, and yeah, it was very disappointing to see that like they hadn't even really attempted to do anything different.
I mean, that's like such a once the roller coaster or whatever it is built, it's not something that's easy to swap out like the seats. So
Hmm.
it's not an easy fix. So it seems like
No,
something you need to get right the first time.
right.
But
Yeah.
oh gosh, I mean, years of growing up riding uncomfortable roller coasters at Busch Gardens and having my head like get knocked back and forth, or like the shoulder thing be too tight or the lap thing be too tight or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I definitely think they need to think of more like open style, like because some roller coasters have that thing that just goes between your legs, like it's sort of like a
Hmm.
seat, and you sort of stand up on that where you're not sitting down. So it can
Hmm.
accommodate like any size person, like big or small, because you're not enclosed in a little seat. So stuff like that, more like universal sizing makes sense. But
Yeah.
I'm also curious if they had nursing rooms. I know I've used nursing rooms recently, and the children's museum we went to last weekend, the nursing I was gonna nurse my son out in the middle of the museum, and my husband's like, "Oh, I saw a nursing room." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And
Hmm.
it was like literally a closet with a
Hmm.
rocking chair and a fluorescent light. And I
Hmm.
was just like, this was designed by a man. Like, this is so terrible. Like, has anyone not like a table, a box of tissues, a mirror, a hook for your bag,
Uh-huh.
anything in here? Like, this was clearly not put together by somebody who actually nurses babies. So
Well,
it was kind of funny.
I know there are like baby centers at Disneyland.
Hmm.
And now I'm like looking up to see if there are any at Universal Studios. Uh yeah, so they have like a place you can go to, but it's not like next to every bathroom or anything. It's
Yeah.
like a centralized area. It looks like they do have at
Did
least
you notice
one,
any universal
but I
changing
didn't.
spaces at the park? Like the ones that are meant to accommodate like larger people?
Changing stations?
Yeah, like in the bathroom. So like there's
Oh,
this
oh.
movement for universal changing spaces where if you have an adult or like a larger child who actually
Hmm.
has to be changed,
I
there's a
see.
movement to like they're sort of like benches basically. Like you think of a changing table for a kid, it
Oh,
like folds down
interesting.
from the wall, but
Yeah.
it's like a bench, and and they have them in Arizona because I have a friend there who's like part of the movement who has a couple of special needs kids that use these, and whenever they're installed, like it basically is just like a big bench for everybody else, but for them
Hmm.
because they have to lay down like a
Hmm.
larger person to change them. I'm always curious if places have them, and I'm delighted when I see them.
I did not see one of those.
Hmm.
And given that there was only one family, like maybe it was in the family bathroom, the
Hmm.
family slash gender neutral bathroom, like the again, the single one that was there, that also had a line for it. Like maybe it was in there, but I didn't check it out. But that's really cool. That's super interesting.
I'm obsessed with bathroom design. That was like
I
my
know, we've talked about it
master's
multiple
research.
times.
I love it. I love
Really?
it. So
Oh, that's so interesting.
one day that'll be my fantasy career.
That's fascinating. All right,
Well,
now maybe
let's
we'll
change,
return
yeah,
from vacation to the
to
world of
career.
to the world of work, where we
Hmm.
normally talk about. Um, yeah, I think as I alluded to earlier about getting new bosses, like I felt like as the layoffs, as like all these layoffs were happening, and again, we saw them again this week, now at Microsoft and Intel, right? That like a
Yes.
lot of people who are going through the layoffs, obviously we've talked about that and the impact and just how hard that is. And then I think that goes hand in hand is like, well, once you've had these kind of structural changes in terms of reduction in workforce, you end up having reorgs of some kind. And then reorgs can happen even without layoffs because lots of time, in my opinion, people just come in, new people come in and are like, I want to do, I don't think this structure like is really working. Let's like mix it up and change it. And so reorgs were kind of like top of mind for me these last couple of weeks, months, as like I've been hearing stories from other people, and it just seems like everywhere is going through a reorg. I don't know, Jasmine, do you have any like we talked about this a little bit off the recording about
Yeah.
you were saying like you kind of feel like sometimes they happen and you don't even feel them. So tell me a little bit about your experience of
I
reorgs.
haven't been impacted lately by a reorg. Yeah, I usually am kind of shielded from them, I would say, the
Hmm.
past few years. So, but I guess recently we did have some adjustments where one team is sort of joining up with another team, and then there were some cuts there, and those were painful cuts. And
Hmm.
we're still feeling some aftershocks from, all the layoffs. And recently I reached out to somebody who I was supposed to be meeting with, and then their profile was, deactivated, and I was like, whoa. So I was kind of caught off guard, and
Hmm.
it just it's so it just feels awful. It just feels awful to know that people that you work with, that you care about, that could just be like you, suddenly are like their world is thrown into chaos. Like it's really hard to imagine. And um having, I just talked to another coworker who, or former coworker who got a new job recently, and they described how difficult it was, the interviewing process. And they're very happy now. They're very, very happy, but I know it was grueling. It was
Yeah,
grueling, and they went through a lot emotionally to get there. So yeah, it's brutal.
really is. And I don't. I think we've talked about how like one of the last things that like we want to be thinking about doing is like interviewing and going on the job market. It's
Yeah. I just ask myself, who is going to understand what I do? That's my biggest
mm,
fear, is like what I do is really technical.
yeah.
And I
And
don't even post about it on LinkedIn, to be honest with you, that much, because I am like, no one I know knows what these things are. So,
And do you feel like that's more about the domain of the
yeah,
software and services that you work on?
right. Like I
Or
am proud, like when we have a launch, I feel really proud if I've worked hard on something and I've designed it and iterated and researched it and everything as much as I can. I feel good
yeah.
about them. But I also feel like the people I'm connecting with on LinkedIn, like I have my coworkers, they're all aware of the launch. And then I have my UX friends and coworkers. I guess I don't know why I don't. Do you post things that you launch on LinkedIn? I notice a lot of people do it.
No, and I'm in the same boat as you. And I think like I think this just points to the fact that like a lot of us don't work on, like the sexiest,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
new like Apple product or um
Consumer products. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, a lot of and a lot of like my work for a long time has been in like platform services for the company. So like the company is the consumer of what I do, and other product teams like consume what I work on. Or maybe it's external and internal developers is the is the product that I'm building. And so yeah, I have the same challenge in terms of feeling like And I think a lot of people do because there is quite a bit of UX work and UX professionals, but there is only so much of that like really cool hot shit stuff that like everybody would get. And so I do feel like one of the reasons, or like if I was to continue, or if I were to look for something else to do, I feel like I'm glad I like what I do, but I kind of feel like I would be looking for more of those types of roles and like doing more platform services or cross functional services for a company. Uh,
Hmm.
so I do,
Yeah.
I feel, yeah, I feel exactly the same. And I bet a lot of people do.
Yeah, I know it's hard to toot your own horn when your horn sounds like you know, it's like
And yeah, and
and then
everybody's
people
like,
are like,
what is
hmm,
that?
yeah. But maybe
Okay.
I should be better at because my friend did say that her LinkedIn posts helped her, that
Yeah.
she like people knew that she was busy and she was up to something. And so I was like, okay. But
Yeah.
she was ecstatic. It was very clear she was in her honeymoon phase, and I had to remind myself that after we hung up. I was
Hmm.
like, oh man, she's in the honeymoon phase. Like everything's wonderful, everything's awesome. The job is amazing,
Hmm.
and I was like, gosh, if I change jobs, would I feel that good? Would I be bouncing off the walls? Maybe, I guess.
Yeah. You
But
would
I
be
still
for a
feel
little while,
happy.
for sure.
Yeah, and then I'd probably my biggest daydream is still like being a school teacher, honestly. Like I still think
Oh,
that would be so much fun. And I know like
if you
every
feel
time I
like
read
you're
an article,
outnumbered at the
I know
at the dinner table.
I know,
Oof.
right? Oh, these little faces. But I read articles about how teachers are miserable and they're so burned out. And I'm like, okay, this is the reality check I need. But it still seems like it would just be so much fun.
I would just,
Anyway,
yeah. I just want
yeah.
to do a job where I would like just get to be the child all day. Can I have that job? Where are those
Yeah.
jobs? So, what else is going on with work?
Well,
Any
I have another
cool stories?
fun, yeah, I have another fun story to share. This happened recently. I was in a call. I was um I was invited to this meeting I probably shouldn't have been invited to. It was kind of a
Wait,
serious
hold on. What do
meeting.
you mean by that? Like,
I mean, it was like it was like a deep back end decision. I
okay,
don't really know if it would have had a lot of impact on the user experience or not, but it was like
okay,
an engineering
got it.
decision meeting, and for some reason somebody got a wild hair and invited me.
Sure.
And I did that thing where I was like, I don't know if I should speak up or not, so I'll just kind of sit here quietly. And then
Hmm.
everybody sort of was like, okay, sounds good. All right, awesome. And then I was like, wait, right before she's like, is there any other comments, any other questions? And I was like,
Hmm.
I have some. And I started talking and I was like, I actually have a lot of concerns about this. Because I was like, it was one of those things where, uh, like you're overhearing something and you're like, this sounds dreadful. Should I say something or should I just
Hmm.
like stay out of it? You know?
Hmm.
And I was like, this kind of sounds hellish. Like it sounds awful. And the person who was sharing their screen, I don't think they realized they were still sharing their screen. And
Hmm.
as I was talking, they started typing my name into the search bar.
So they
And
were
I was
looking you
like,
up.
they were looking me up. And I was like, I do this all the time. Like, there's nothing,
Yeah.
bad about it. But I was like, uh-oh, like this person is like, who is this person? Why are they derailing my meeting?
Hmm.
What do I need to listen to their opinion? I've already made my decision. And I was like talking and then I was like, you are still sharing your screen and I see that you're looking me up. So my name is Jessamine Edwards and I'm a designer. And then they kind of quietly like turned off their screen sharing and didn't say anything, but it was pretty funny. I mean, I was just like, oh boy. Yeah.
So
So
does it beg the question, like, should we, before we speak in meetings, should we be like, Meg Kramer, UX.
Yes.
I report to so and so.
Yes, probably. And here's my
Uh,
level and here's my tenure, just so you know, I'm not a total
yeah,
dope, but
right.
yes. So
Although,
anyway, that was
that
fun.
would be helpful because one time I was in a meeting and I got really worked up about something and I like I thought I knew who was in the meeting. And then later I realized that the person in the meeting was like a pretty senior
Oh,
engineer. And I
oh.
would not have been shooting my mouth off like that if I had known. And I was like,
You probably made their day. They probably don't get to hear that kind of talk. Maybe,
probably,
maybe we'll see.
but
But
yeah,
yeah,
they they
that's
they
cool.
probably
I
found
think it's
some
cool.
entertainment in it,
I'm sure they
but they,
did. I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I bet they're used to people being like, "Ooh, so and so's here. Okay, better straighten my tie and
Mhm.
sound really serious all of a sudden."
I
But
do like
yeah.
when you can like hover over people. I don't know if it's what tool it is in, maybe Outlook, where you can hover over people's names and you can see their job description, but like or
Hmm.
their title. But then sometimes I see their title, but it still doesn't mean anything to me. So like, and I'm sure people have that with me too. Like they're like experience designer. What the hell is that?
Exactly. You know what? I had that happen to me this week where somebody introduced themselves and they used an acronym. And I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, oh, I can't believe I don't know this. But I still haven't looked it up. I just started making up things in my mind. I was like, this must mean principal engineer, I
Yeah.
guess, or, you know,
I started working at a
residential.
place and they were like, here's this database of like a million acronyms that the company uses. It'll be so helpful. And in
Oh,
the first like 4 weeks, I would hear tons of acronyms. I'd write them down and I wouldn't, I would do the thing where like I would write them down, but I wouldn't ask in the meeting. So I wouldn't derail the meeting, but like I'd write them down so I could talk to them with my boss or whatever. And then I would go to this this library of terms that was huge. It had so many things in it. And
whoa.
all like I don't think I remember a time when I actually found an acronym like in this tome of acronyms that
Did
I
it
that
let
people
you
were actually
add or it was
using.
a read only?
That's a great question. I didn't even think about that because
You
I'm
should have
just
been
because
able to
I yeah.
add.
Well, I should have also like wanted to like
Hmm. It's a
but
living
I didn't know what the
document.
definition was. So,
Hmm.
you know,
Ah,
I
okay.
guess I would have had to do a lot of work there. So, all right, give us one more story, Justin,
Okay, and
of
so
your
this
life.
is have you ever had that thing where you think you may have food in your teeth or something in your nose and you sort of start to touch your face while you're talking to somebody else
Hmm.
and then they think that you're trying
Oh,
to tip them off, so they start touching their face and then
hmm.
you're like, "No, it's me." So today I was on camera talking to a male colleague and as soon as I turned my camera on, I realized I had like a big bra strap visible because I had just finished nursing. And I was like, oops. And, we were like deep in conversation. So I was like subtly trying to I do this thing where I pull my shirt from the back. Like I kind of sit up in my chair and I pull my shirt back to try to cover the bra straps. But these are some serious bra straps. They're like an inch and a half thick. They're crazy. And I was like, I couldn't get it. And I only have the video camera as my mirror. And I kept like tugging. And so finally I was like, all right, I'm just going to try to subtly lift my shirt and try to cover this bra strap. And then I noticed my coworker started adjusting his collar and he was
Oh,
reaching his arm behind his back. And I was like, oh no, he's mirroring me. And
do
he
you think
thinks
he
his
knew it?
shirt's messed up.
Do you think he was consciously or unconsciously doing it?
I have no idea, but he wasn't doing it before I started fidgeting. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he started fidgeting. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh no. I mean, I do have one colleague that loves to use the camera as their mirror because every time we're in a meeting, they're adjusting their hair, fluffing it, shaking it out. fluff, 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 shake, shake, shake. And it's like they do it so much. It's so funny. I'm like, once or twice, like you're good, right?
Mhm.
But they kind of keep going. And I'm like, they're just grooming at this point in the mirror in the video. And they
Totally.
yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I think I used to have a mirror when I sat in an office. I did have a little small mirror that I would use to kind of check myself after lunch or
Uh-huh.
something like that, just to make sure. But I don't have that and I probably should.
Thinking of the like, well, first of all, I was gonna say maybe that person thinks that's just the preview video and they don't realize that it's not the preview video. That
Maybe.
actually other people can see it too. But the other thing I was gonna say is that like I have a new hairstyle, not by choice, but because of all the cancer treatment I've been going through. And like at first I was really glad I wasn't on call all the time because I didn't want to like see myself. But now that I'm like more comfortable and I'm going out and wearing my new hair and stuff, like now I kind of wish I was
Yeah.
at the time because I would even have more opportunities to like see myself and be like, oh, yep, that's what I look like. Like, because sometimes now I like catch myself and I'm like, oh, that's me. I forgot. That's what I look
Oh
like.
my gosh. You're
So
like, wait, is that me?
yeah,
Is that me in the mirror? Oh my goodness. I
yeah.
love
So
it. I
maybe
love your new look.
maybe the self view is not the worst thing in the world. So
True. True.
anyway, all right. Well, we're gonna
Yay.
wrap up here. I wish you, Jessamine, and all of our colleagues that are parents and identify as women and want to celebrate Mother's Day, a happy Mother's Day. I also know that sometimes some of those times, those days can be really hard for some people. So our support and goodwill and good feelings go out to those folks as well on this weekend. Although this episode will probably come out after the weekend. So I guess happy Mother's Day in the past when you listen to this. Yeah,
Yeah. All
thanks
right.
everyone for listening.
Thank you guys. Love you. And if you need any advice or sympathy for your UX career, write to us at survivingux@gmail.com.